here talking to myself. As Riley said, I've been with VectorVest for about 13 years. My first 5 or 6 years, I would talk to customers on the phone, and they were technical traders, and they were like, hey, actually, I have it on the next slide here. They'd say, hey, Brian, can I search for stocks that are having a technical crossover? Because they'd be looking at charts, pulling up graphs, and they said, I'd like to do this, but can I search for this? For a while, I said, no, we don't have that. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. But now, my answer is yes. Most definitely yes. Today, you're going to see not only how you can search for these technical crossovers, but how we could start to send you the alerts for when it happens. All right, so you won't even need to be near your computer. You can be out golfing or doing whatever and get these alerts. All right, so it doesn't matter if you're just starting out with technical analysis or if you're already a sophisticated trader with it. The information I'm going to share with you today can help you make some money. All right, and I put this, here's one of my corny slides right there. For a lot of people, this is a dream come true. So let's get right to it. Today's webcast, this is our agenda. All right, number one, the first thing we're going to look at is I'll show you how to use 3 of the top technical indicators. All right, you're going to see what they are and what to look for on a graph. Number 2, I'll show you a way to easily search through stocks and within seconds find stocks meeting those crossovers. And then at the end, I'm going to show you how you can put it all together and how VectorVest can send you alerts of these trading opportunities. All right, now for me, prior to having these tools that I'm going to show you today, I'd be probably like a lot of you going through chart after chart after chart, just pulling up a bunch of charts looking for these crossovers. I'm going to ask you guys, on a daily basis, there's a bunch of technical traders in here, about how many charts do you look at in a day while you're looking for a trade? You look at 1, 5, 10. In the chat box, so I see 25. You guys can see all the answers too. 50, 25, too many. Dozens, 20. I think the highest number I saw somebody ever type in was, I think it was 500. And I mean, that's a lot of charts. So I see Williams at 100. So I mean, it's time consuming sometimes, right, to go through a bunch of charts. 10 might not be that bad, but if you're going through 20 to 50 or even up to that 100, it could get to be a lot of work. And that's how I felt. I just said, hey, this is too much. I just got frustrated. I said, I can't do it anymore. Put it on the back burner and forgot about it for a while because I had my children, I had a job, I had things to do. All right? So now, now that I'm here at VectorVest, and about 5 years ago, VectorVest put some tools together, and with these tools, I was actually able to create a search which automatically does everything I used to have to do manually. All right? In fact, using that search that I'm going to walk you through some of those settings today, is I was able to put not only the search together, but a trading plan which has generated over 82% winning trades. So 102 winning trades out of 123. And it's been running for the last 2 years automatically in our company-wide trading competition. All right, so it's just been running automatically. And here's just a screenshot of the performance, just highlighted in pink. Over the past 2 years, it's up over 56% and over 82% winning trades. So I'm going to talk about the settings of that search throughout the webcast today, so pay attention. And if you stick to the end, I'm going to give you a way to get those settings with click-by-click directions on how to build the search and the trading plan, all together. All right? And of course, if you listen carefully through the webcast, you're going to pick up bits and pieces. This webcast is about you. So I think we put a poll together for everybody. I don't know about that, Yana. There might be a little poll popping up in a second. Which technical indicators do you use the most? And if there's not a poll that's popping up, just type in either. Oh, there it is. So you can select more than one. Do you use MACD, support and resistance, moving average crossovers? In a minute, if there's one that you use that's not on that list, just type it in the chat box. I'm always interested to see what people are using. So I'm going to give you about 10 seconds because we've got a bunch of things to cover today. Let's see, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So let's see. I'm not sure if you guys can see the poll. Let's see. Oh, I see a few people saying ADX. Let's see if this works for everybody. I'm going to hit stop poll. And I don't know if I hit the right button there. I'm new to this the feature here in the Trading Pub of the polls. Did everybody see the results there? Yanda, is there a way to pop that back up by any chance? Usually what I see, I close very quickly, is that MACD is the number one. let's do it again. I won't close it this time, I promise. I guess when I hit the wrong button, I got to hit share results. There you go. I hit share results, then you'll see. So right now on my screen, it's showing MACD at 32%, moving average crossovers at 28%, support and resistance at 12%. Stochastics, awesome, is up at 16%. And then, let's see, 8, 9, or 10% say you don't use any of them. All right, so let me close this for all. And so those were the results. So number 1 and number 3 were the biggest results. You know, MACD and moving average crossovers. And I always think that makes sense because MACD does use moving average crossovers in it. All right, today we're going to be looking, I see some other ones in there. RSI in the chat box. I must have missed a couple. Moving averages. Some people do candlesticks. Exponential moving averages. Great. All right. So what we're going to do today is we're going to cover 3 of these: MACD, support and resistance, and stochastics. You know, MACD does use moving average crossovers in there. All right. You're going to see how you get some great results. All right. So what we're going to do, and let me actually go back over to the slides, is we're going to start off with MACD. And I might be a little different than some people when they teach these things. I'm not going to go through all the formulas. All right, if you want to learn the formulas, you can just Google it, and it'll come up with, you know, that if you're a mathematician, you could look at the formulas. What I like to look at is just, you know, how to use it to make money. You know, a simple way on how to use it to make money. All right, so MACD, for those of you who are new, the 10% of you who are new to technical analysis, it stands for moving average, convergence, divergence. All right, it is a great indicator to help pinpoint some meaningful changes in a stock's price direction. All right, it's more of a trend-based indicator, and you're going to see more of that as we go. Now, in this example, let's look. I pulled up an example of Johnson & Johnson. Now, just because I'm using Johnson & Johnson, it doesn't mean that's the only stock it works with. And this is actually a challenge that I'm going to issue to everybody here. I want you to go out there and use these technical indicators, or pull up charts and put the MACD on it, and you're going to prove something to yourself. Prove to yourself that MACD is a great indicator and why it's the number 1 result from our poll. So here's a graph of Johnson & Johnson. I have added MACD to the bottom. The most common use, all right, there's a few ways to use MACD, but the most common is to look for times just like this, where you see the MACD. It's called a histogram, these yellow bars, to look for times when the MACD histogram crosses above or below this 0 line. Now, that's a great indication that there's a change in the stock's trend. Okay, and you can actually see several examples on this chart alone. And like I said before, I want you to go through just go through a few charts and ask yourself this question. When there was a MACD crossover, did you have a chance to make money? All right, did you have a chance to make money? So let's just do that together. All right, so here is a MACD crossover. It's the first one on this side of the graph. Now, if we look up at the stock's price, when the MACD crossed over, did you have a chance to make money? Now, just give me a Y or an N or a maybe. So did you have a chance to make money, yes or no? All right, so I'm going to do this quick. I see a bunch of Ys coming through, yes, right? All right, so let's go back to the one before that. Here's one. So I'll give you a chance to look at this one. Did you have a chance to make money here? Yes, no, maybe, little. What's your feedback there? Did you have a chance to make money there? I see an M for maybe. I see a little. I see a couple of Ys. All right, yeah. So it's possible, right? But let's talk about worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, when MACD turned negative, you might have walked away break even, right? Might have walked away break even. But let's go back to the one before that. And I'm going to go through the next few rather quick, right? Little upturn, so it's a chance to make money there. That one's a no-brainer, right? Go back to this one here. Yes. Go back to this one. Again, maybe a little bit, and then it flattened out. This one back here, possibly just you walk away break even, and then over here that's a yes, a small gain. All right, and you're going to see this on stock after stock after stock, that positive MACD crossovers like this more times than not. All right, that's a key part. More times than not will give you great buying opportunities. Is it going to be 100%? No, it's not going to be 100%. All right, nothing's 100%, but more times than not, they offer some great buying opportunities. But what about, on the, as Ed said, he mentions the short side. He was referencing something we were looking at a moment ago. But you've got the negative crossovers too. Let's look at this one over here. When MACD turned negative. Let's say you were in this position and then you use this negative crossover. Would it have helped you protect profits? Would it have helped you protect profits? And David, we're going on the first crossover. All right, we're looking at daily charts. Yeah, so I see a Y, yes, a Y. Yeah, this would have helped you protect profits because then the stock kept dropping, right? Right. If you were not in that position, you could always use it as a signal to, start playing the market the stock to the downside too. But maybe not in a stock like Johnson & Johnson that's got some great fundamentals. You might want to do it on other stocks. But let's just say you own Johnson & Johnson. Great time to become defensive. Even if you didn't want to close the position, it's at least telling you to protect profits, either tighten stops, buy a put, take some defensive measures. And then, of course, you got this one over here. They're not all going to be as beautiful as this, where it comes like, 2 days off the peak. But this is a no-brainer, right? You definitely would have protected profits there. You can't get much better than that one. So what I'm getting at here is MACD crossovers not only are great entry signals, you can use these negative crossovers as a way to exit positions, become defensive, or just turn bearish. And Devin, did I get your name right? Devin, we're using the pretty much industry standard 12, 26, and 9 MACD settings, pretty much where industry standard. Now the key is, remember from our poll a moment ago, MACD was the most popular indicator that technical traders use. I did a webcast about a month ago, and it was like 68% of the traders in the room said they used MACD. So I want you just to plant a seed right now that one of the important things is going to be that you be one of the first ones to react. When this crossover happens, speed is important. You want to be one of the first because you got 68% of traders out there possibly reacting as well. So you want to be fast too. So I'm going to show you how to do that as we go. But let's talk about the next indicator, support and resistance. Right, support and resistance, this is a very popular trading technique. One of the great things I like about VectorVest, not only that I work here, but one of the great things is that VectorVest gives the ability to actually draw the support and resistance lines for me. So it's got a way that you just check a box for support and resistance, and it'll figure out where the support and resistance lines go, so I don't have to sit there and eyeball it. So it's pretty cool. All right, so let's actually talk about how to use support and resistance. And now before we get too deep, let's talk about what it is. I like to just kind of explain things the way that I learn. So what we've got here, we've got these white lines, right? Okay. Here's what's called a support line. A support level is a point where stock prices have stopped coming down and reversed and started to go back up. And typically on multiple occasions. So come down, go back up. Come down, go back up, down, and back up. That creates what's called a support level. And we'll talk about how to use it in like a minute. On the other side, you've got what's called a resistance level. Resistance is a point where stock prices have stopped going up and they start to come back down, and again, usually multiple times. This is the ultimate crowd mentality indicator. I want you to think about this. Pardon me, I got something in my throat. Pardon me. Let's look at this stock, Procter & Gamble. Here you got one, it was flat, a little base pattern here, and then it pops up. Now let's say you see this and you're bullish. It popped up, and if it's on high volume, you're even more bullish. Let's say you entered that position. Right, you buy this stock, and it's going up, going up, going up, going up, and then it comes down. Right? Before it came down, you're sitting there patting yourself on the back, right? Thinking you're a genius. Like, man, this thing's going to go up forever. I can't imagine how much money I'm going to make on this. And then it drops, right? Now what are you thinking? Oh, no. That's back down to where I started. I can't sell it now because I used to have this much gain. And now you fill in the blank. If it ever gets back up to there again, I'm going to do what? Fill in the blank. If it ever gets back up to there again, I'm gonna, Andre says, sell, 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 sell. I mean, we've all been there, right? You had a trade and it goes against you, and then you're like, oh, I had a profit. If it ever gets there again, gosh darn it, I'm going to sell that thing. So what happens? It goes back up, goes back up. It eventually gets right back to where it was before, and all the people who didn't sell back here now put selling pressure on it, and then it causes it to come back down. And then it happens again. It gets back up to where it did before. The people who didn't sell it here or here put selling pressure and pushes it back down. Ultimate crowd mentality indicator. So now let's start to talk about how to use this in our trading. All right, there's going to be 4 things. So if you've got a pen handy, there's going to be 4 things that we're going to talk about. 2 for buying opportunities and 2 for selling or bearish or defensive measures. Let's talk about the buying opportunities first. First off, if you see price hitting a support level, which was this line down here, if you see price coming down and hitting a support level and bouncing off, right, coming down and bouncing off, that's bullish. Typically what happens is price comes down, hits support. If it bounces off, more times than not, it'll continue to go up until the next area of resistance, the previous area of resistance. So if you see price coming down and hitting support and bouncing up off, that's bullish because it'll typically continue to rise. So that's one buying opportunity. The other buying opportunity is when price breaks through resistance. And here's one of the reasons I like this chart as an example is it's got pretty much all types of scenarios to show you. If you come over here, you see how price created a resistance level, came down, came back up, and right over here it tested it out. You see how it hesitated a little bit? It had a little down day there. But it was able to overcome all that selling pressure. Remember, there's built-in selling pressure right here with all the people who didn't sell back here. But it was able to break through all that selling pressure, and if that happens on high volume, that's bullish. So, 2 buying opportunities. 1, if it bounces off of support and goes up, or if it breaks up through resistance. Right, so that's 2 buying opportunities. So now let's talk about ways to use support and resistance as a way to either exit a position that you already own, become defensive, or to initiate short positions. So if you see price, here's an example up here, coming up, nearing a resistance level, and starting to move back down, that's bearish. Because typically it will continue to fall until the next level of support. And I guess this is a poor way to explain it, but I shouldn't think about my son bouncing on a pogo stick, right? I usually think of my son on a pogo stick testing out support levels. Doing, doing, doing. But then I think, all right, he's bouncing on a pogo stick. What happens if he hits his head on the ceiling? Now, that'd be a pretty big jump, right? If he bounces and he hits his head on the ceiling, what's going to happen to him? He's going to hurt his head, unfortunately, but fall until he lands on the floor. And that's typically what happens with stocks. If they come up and they hit their head on resistance, if they come up and hit resistance, and they start to move back down, then they typically fall until the next area of support. So if you see price coming up and hitting resistance and starting to move back down, if you own that stock, warning bells should be going off, and you should be saying, man, if I've got profits, I'm going to protect them. I'm either going to exit the position, tighten my stops, buy a put as an insurance policy, sell some of my shares. You're becoming very defensive. Now you could also use it as a way to get out of the market. Sorry, not get out of the market. I'm thinking if we're looking at a market timing or market graph here, if you're looking at an individual stock graph, you could use it as a way to initiate short positions. Now the second way to use it would also be to look for times when price breaks down through support. If it crashes through support. Now it actually didn't happen here, where it did break down through support, but then it rebounded. So it's not a 100% thing. But if it breaks down through support, a lot of times what will happen is it'll continue to fall until the next level of support. Just like if my son was bouncing on his pogo stick, doing, 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 on the 6th floor of a building, and he broke through the floor, he would continue to fall until he landed on the 5th floor. Yeah, and as Andre says, on this one right here, there was no follow-through. And that'd be a great thing to look for, is after it broke through, if it continued to move lower the next day. So, in a moment, we're going to take a look at how to search for stocks that are doing this. But just know this is what we're going to be looking for on the chart. Now, the last indicator that we're going to look at is the stochastics oscillator. And I've come to really like stochastics. I think it was about 16% of the people in this room use stochastics, which is actually pretty neat. As with other oscillators, what it does is it helps pinpoint overbought and oversold conditions. Now, down here is stochastics, and sometimes these little squiggly lines throw people off. Let's try to make things pretty simple. So here I've got a chart of Merck, but again, this you can use on multiple charts. So here's a chart, and I've got stochastics at the bottom. Stochastics is on a 0 to a 100 scale. 0 to 100. The key levels to look for. Number 1 would be, I highlighted here with this pink line, a level of 20. I want you to notice something on what happens typically when stochastics gets below 20. The stock itself was somewhere near a bottom. So let me just draw some stuff here. Now I'm not asking you in the chat box to tell me if it was exactly at the bottom, but I just want to see if we're on the same page here. I'm going to circle this area here when stochastics was below 20 and just come up and circle about the same area for the stock. And I just want you to let me know if the stock was somewhere near a bottom. I'm going to go a little bit faster here. My circling isn't the best sometimes. And, well, we don't know this one was a bottom yet or not. All right, so I see yes, yes, indeed it was, yes, yes. That's all we needed. That's all we need to know is that when stochastics is below 20, the stock is somewhere near a bottom. All right, so how do we use it? How do we use it? Well, we don't want to buy a stock just because stochastics is below 20. What we want to do is wait for it to start to rise up above 20. That'll tell us that the stock has hit a bottom and is starting to come back off of that bottom. So it's coming up off of the bottom if we look up at the stock's price. So that's what we want to look for. You don't want to just buy a stock just because stochastics is below 20. You want stochastics to be rising up above 20. Typically, you can see a quick pop when that occurs, and you can make some nice short-term gains, little nice short gains. It's like a rubber band. You stretch it, and then when you let it go, quick pop back. On the opposite side of things, you've got this. Whoops. Let me get off my little pen. There you go. On the opposite side, you've got the level of 80. Now, there's other ways you could use this, but the most effective way I've used this is to let me know when it's not a good time to initiate a long position. Basically, if I see stochastics above 80, I know that the stock, it might not be at a peak, but I mean it's getting there. It's already made quite a run, and you could see that right there. So, what do we do from here? All right, we've now looked at, let me just move forward here, we've now looked at 3 technical indicators, right? We have. Let me ask you a question. Before we get into anything else on how to make this faster, if you were to just walk away from today's webinar, if you just logged out and left, can this information, just the information that you just learned, help you in your trading? Is it fair enough to say, just by knowing that, is it helpful? If it's not, then I got to switch things definitely around. All right, good. I see a bunch of yes, 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 yes. All right, so it lets me know that I don't have to change something so far. All right, so that information can help, especially for those of you who just like to look at chart after chart after chart. Well, we can do things the hard way or the easy way, and I'm just going to assume that you want to do things the easy way. So we don't want to go through chart after chart after chart. We want to make things easier for ourselves. Because I know for myself, I like to go home and spend time with my children. Now, we got a 10-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter. I like to hang out with them. I don't want to look at stock charts all day. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose the easy method and find a way to, or have a way to find these stocks quicker. And VectorVest has dramatically simplified that process by creating a search tool which does all the work for us. So let's get in there and let's take a look at how to do it. So let's see. I'm going to try switching to VectorVest, and I think you see that on the screen now. Here we are in VectorVest. What I've done is I've automatically, or I've initially, or whatever word you want there, opened it up to what we call the Unisearch tool. Let's just think of it as a search tool. But we think it's one of the most powerful search tools you're going to find. I've automatically, why do I keep saying automatically? I've loaded the Pro Trader folder over here on the left. Now we got a bunch of people in the webcast or webinar today who are already members of VectorVest. So some of you may or may not have Pro Trader on your account. Don't worry. At the end, we'll talk about how you can get it if you want it. So I'm going to open up this Pro Trader folder. This is where, in this folder, this is where we hold all of the technical searches, which you can use any of the ones that are there, or you can modify them if you want to. Let me just pull this open a little bit. These are some of the defaults that we've got. We got DPO for detrended price oscillator. Some of you in the chat earlier said you use exponential moving average crossovers. We got weighted. We got simple moving averages. I'll scroll down. I saw about 3 or 4 of you said you use ADX, so we can look for those crossovers. Here's the ones that look at support and resistance, MACD, and if I scroll down, we've got RSI. I remember somebody said they wanted to look for RSI crossovers, so we've got that in there as well. What we're going to do in the time that we've got, let's look at 2 of them. 2 of the ones that we talked about today. I'm going to start off with this one here that says MACD crossover long. So it's got this little green arrow, so we know it's a bullish search. I'm just going to pull this back over so we have a little bit more room. So MACD crossover long. So let's take a look at the criteria. Over here in the criteria, the main part of this search is just this top line. It's going to look for a MACD crossover. And all this stuff right here, it just means that the histogram went positive that day. So here's some free information for everybody. I'm just going to hit run search. So for all you traders out there, if you want to know what stocks right now had a MACD crossover today, there's probably a bunch because the market's up pretty big today. But here are stocks that had a MACD crossover today. Pretty quick, right? You get an additional advantage by using VectorVest because there's probably a ton of stocks in the universe of all stocks that had a MACD crossover. What you're going to get here, not only the stocks that had a MACD crossover, but the ones up here at the top. See this right here? Look at the screen. It says VST. That stands for value, safety, and timing. So the stocks that are at the top of the list have the best combination of value, safety and timing. So number one, huge time saver. And number two, you've got the best stocks at the top based on their value, safety, and timing. So some free information here in case you were curious. You can run these searches any time of the day, especially if I'm logged into our real-time. So this is actually real-time data. We also have subscription levels that are intraday, which is a 15-minute delay, or an end-of-day service. You can run these anytime you want. You can run any day you want. But let me say this. One of the biggest benefits that you get with VectorVest is you can start to tie in market direction. Market direction. And I was listening to the end of the presentation earlier, right before mine, and he was exactly right. Some people were asking about predicting the market. You can't predict the market, but you can know the market's trend, and VectorVest has got some great signals for you to do that. So if we come up here, let me just show you some of those signals. I mean, this is what we have as our market timing graph over the past 12 months. Man, talk about some volatility, right? Talk about some volatility in the market. This is what the market's done over the past 12 months. The overall market, we track about 8,000 stocks, and this is an average of those 8,000. So let me put on we have an indicator called, I'm not going to get into all the details of it, but it's called the DEW. It uses technical indicators to time the market. And overall, it does a pretty good job. So here's an up signal that happened on December 22nd to a down signal recently. And we had one back here on October 28th. And that lasted until December 10th. And you can see here a down signal, an up signal. So overall, there's going to be some whipsaws in the market, but overall, this does a pretty nice job of identifying the market trends and getting you in early enough to take advantage of it. Let's just take a look at a couple of these signals really quick and see how the searching can help us out. Now, I'm going to start with December 22nd. This was almost like a whipsaw here. Got in, and the market turned right back around. But I just want to be fair. Let's test it out. December 22nd to January 5th. So I'm just going to come back over here to Unisearch, and I'm going to see what the stocks were back on December 22nd. So this will let me see which stocks had a MACD crossover back on December 22nd. So Buffalo Wild Wings, my son loves to go there. He loves wings. So does my daughter, actually. So we've got the stocks that had a MACD crossover there. So let's just quick test 5 stocks. So I'm going to, and when I say quick test, what this is going to do is, I'll just show you really quickly. I'm going to go to the 5th. So the 5th was the day we had a down signal. All right, take a look. This is the price of these stocks on the up signal, and this was the price on the down signal. That's a whipsaw in the market, right? The market turned around, but overall, not that bad. I mean, we only lost less than 1% during that time. That's livable, right? Well, let's go to the signal before. Whoops. The signal before that, if you remember, was October 28th. Oops, went too far. October 28th. So you get the signal from VectorVest. You run the search. So here we have the top stocks that had a MACD crossover on that day. So again, let's just quick test the top 5. And the down signal came on December 10th. So to be fair, we're just going to test these 5 stocks from October 28th to December 10th. So if you had bought the stocks on the October 28th when the up signal came, sold them on December 10th, now you're up 11.5%. So I'll live with the 1% loss on the next signal because I have an 11.5% gain from the prior signal. So, and all you're doing is reacting to these MACD crossovers. Now, I could keep testing this just to prove to myself that it works. Let me show you a feature in VectorVest that will let you do some testing pretty quick. And I'm going to give you a recommended stop criteria. I told you at the beginning that I'm going to give you some information that you could start using right away. And the information I'm going to show you right now, I've shown to people in July, August, September, October, and each of those portfolios, just using this simple technique, is up between 5 and 13%, which if you annualize it, it's about 20%. So let's take a look on how to do this. We have a feature in VectorVest called the back tester, and I just want to back test this idea of using MACD as our signal. I'm going to build a trading system, and I'm going to use those DEW signals. And when a signal to get in the market comes, I want to use that MACD search. Where are you, MACD? There we go. And here's a stop criteria you can use. 20% gain, 10% loss. Pretty simple, right? Everybody could do that. Why 20% gain, 10% loss? It is fairly industry standard, pretty conservative. A mentor of mine used to say that he is no better than a 50-50 trader about finding winners versus losers, but the important thing is to make sure that your winners outpace the losers. So if you make sure that you're gaining 20% on your winners and only losing 10% on your losers, you're still going to come out ahead, even if you're a 50-50 trader. And we're just going to do 5 stocks. There we go. And then when a down signal comes, we're just going to go to cash. And why don't we give us some time here? Let's start this. We had an up signal on September 9th. So all this back tester is going to do is mimic what would have happened had we bought the top 5 stocks here and sold any that had a 20% gain or a 10% loss and replaced them. And then when a down signal came, we just went into cash. And it just did this over and over. But while this is running, let me ask you, what would you be happy with as far as an annualized rate of return? So in the chat box, quick, before it ends, let me know, what would you be happy with just in your normal trading? I just want to see what kind of traders we have in the room. What are you happy with as far as an annualized rate of return? 20, 22, 20, 12, 50, 15 to 20, 40, 23, 50, 300, interesting, 25, 15, 25, 20. All right, I was afraid by being in more of a technical traders where I was going to see some numbers like everybody was going to say 100%, which if you're making 100% a year, hopefully you're in a profession where you're having people pay you to manage their money. But if we're anywhere, if you can make 20 to 25 to 30%, a lot of people are saying 20, we're doing pretty good, right? What's that rule of 72? If you make 20% a year, you're going to double your money every 3.5 years, basically. So what do we got here? Using this simple trading system, we're annualized 30.9%. So I made some people unhappy who wanted more, but it looked like most people were saying they wanted 20 to 25. So we now have a system that can do that, and it's pretty simple. And remember, the key is speed, and also don't just think about the percentages. Think about the time saving. Think about the time saving. I'm listening. I listen to a lot of books on tape. I think it's the 4-hour work week. It really hammers home that your time is worth money. Think of all the time savings this is, and frees you up. That's also worth something. So that's my example of MACD. You just get a signal, you can run the search, buy the top stocks, and a simple way to manage them. But let me show you something else too. You can take this trading plan. Let's say you like this trading plan, and you can turn it into a portfolio that automatically runs every day. And you could do that by simply clicking on this button right here that says Convert. And I'm just going to start this with an empty portfolio and hit OK. When you do this, I'm also using another plugin with VectorVest called the Auto Timer. I can set this up so that it now is going to be running. It's using a tool called the Genius. And let me see if I can find one down here that's already been running. How about July? All right, here's an example. Remember I said I've been doing this webcast basically every month or so? This was a webcast we started on July 25th, which coincidentally was actually the day of a down signal. But we started this trading plan on that day, and since then it's up let me just close this here. It's up 13% since then, using the same thing I just showed you. But what this does, since I use this auto timer plugin, is it sends alerts anytime a trade needs to be made. So it is now, see how this is spinning around? It is now waiting and waiting for the next market up signal. And once that market up signal comes, it's going to automatically run the search for me, find the top 5 stocks, and send me an alert of the 5 stocks to trade. Now that's some time savings. And Bill, does it take into consideration the cost of buying and selling? Yeah, these portfolios and the backtester I just showed you do take into account commissions. So let's in the time that we've got, let me show you one other one. Let's take a look at stochastics. This is the one that I use stochastics in that trading plan I showed you earlier. So I'm going to skip down to stochastics and EMA killer crossover. And like I said, I actually use a variation of this search, a slight variation, in the portfolio that got that 82% winning trades. Remember, with stochastics, we wanted to find stocks whose stochastics were rising above 20. Well, that's exactly what this search is doing. I'm just going to shrink this left side, pull this down a little bit so you can see everything. This top line is looking for the stochastics to have crossed above 20 anytime in the past 2 days. Anytime in the last 2 days. So it could have happened today or yesterday. The other thing this search is doing is those of you who liked EMA, RB says define EMA. EMA stands for exponential moving average. So a one-day moving average is just price. So this search is not only looking for stochastics to be crossing above 20, it's looking for the price to have crossed above the 10-day exponential moving average, the 20-day exponential moving average, and the 30-day exponential moving average in the past 2 days. Imagine trying to eyeball that on a bunch of graphs. Imagine trying to do that. So, and again, we've got the VST advantage right up here at the top. Now, in the time that I've got, I want to just show you how I've been using this in that portfolio that got the 80% gains. So, to save time, I just picked out a great date to illustrate something. It's not like this is some magical date. It's just, it is a great way to illustrate how I've been using it in that portfolio. So on this date, there was an up signal. I'm going to run it. And so these are the stocks that met that criteria. And once again, I'm just going to do this quick test feature. So we had an up signal on July 8th, and then there was a down signal. I'll show you here. There was a down signal. See, July 8th was the up signal. August 16th was a down signal. All right, now you're looking at this. You're looking at this, and you're going to say, all right, 8 winners. That's great. That's 80%. But we only made 0.68%. That's not so hot. I don't think we'd like to, 0.68%. When these stocks are oversold like they are, as they were on July 8th, we want to take advantage of some quick pops. Remember, it's like that rubber band? So let's take a look here. We had these 2 stocks that were big losers, UAM and RTEC. Let me show you what you could do just on a daily basis. So let's say you bought these stocks on July 8th. You come home from work on July 9th, and you sit down at your computer, and you look at your portfolio. Let's see. Let's look for an 8% gain. Any of these have an 8% gain? I don't see any. Guess what? You just wait till the next day. You just keep moving on. So we just go to the next day, the 10th. You check your portfolio for an 8% gain? Nope. And I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. You just do that day by day, looking to see if your portfolio had any 8% gains. And here we had one, RTEC. You take your profit. You take that 8% gain. Remember, it's like a rubber band. And I'm just showing you what had been running in that portfolio earlier. And the one that had the 80% winning trades was not a back test. It's been running in real time for 2 years. All right, so here we had a 9% gain. And then you keep doing this. Let's just go, I'm just going to skip ahead to the 18th to save some time. So now we've got not only RTEC, UAM, IACI, all hit the 8% gain. Now if you kept repeating this process, you would have sold 8 of the 10 stocks for 8% gains, and the portfolio would have gained over 7%. So that's the technique that's been running in that portfolio I showed you earlier, taking those 8% profits. So using that technique, it actually, think about this, turned these 2 stocks, which were the biggest losers, into profitable trades. Now, in addition to those alerts that I showed you a moment ago in the portfolio, let me show you one other thing. What if I told you VectorVest can actually scan the market all day for you and then send you alerts of possible trading opportunities based on either a MACD crossover or support and resistance? It's a pretty amazing tool called the Watchdog, and it is 155, and actually, since the market is open right now, we might actually see some alerts come through. Now, I'm logged into my account, so you can see the 2 watchdogs that I've got built. So let me tell you what a watchdog is. As the name implies, it watches the market all day for you, and it alerts you of possible trades. So let's just set one up. I'm going to hit New, and I want to look. I like MACD, so I'm going to do a MACD. I'm going to look for crossing above, so the histogram turning positive. And we've got some pre-built filters, so I want to make sure the price is over $5 and it's got a bunch of volume. And you can modify this if you want. You can even set it up so that it only looks at stocks in the S&P 500, or you could just look at all the stocks. I'm just going to turn this off. Maybe we can actually get a result. And I'm going to hit Finish. Let's see if we get an alert. So what this is going to do, I've got my watchdog running right now. It is subscribed. So, and look at that. We've got one already, 156, KLXI, met the criteria. You would also get an email. Here's Las Vegas Sands. So it's telling you of stocks in real time that are having MACD crossovers. And you can get alerted no matter where you are. A lot of people have smartphones. You can say, oh, wow, Las Vegas Sands had a MACD crossover. And you could choose whether or not to react to it. Great little tool. I think I've got an example of how I use that in here. Let's see if I still have it. Yeah. Now, I pulled this from a little while ago. It looks like 2013. So here's a picture of DISCA. I highlighted this right here, September 12th. The MACD crossover actually came the day before, and you can see that this is the email I received at 2:56 p.m. on the 11th. Now, I believe I was in a meeting at that time, so I couldn't react to it. But here's a snippet from the brokerage account, trade, DISCA, on the 12th at 9:45, and then it hit 8% in 15 days, so it was sold there. So these are things you could do with these tools. Remember what I said earlier. It's all about, especially with MACD, but also with all these other technical indicators, it's all about speed. If you're able to react faster than everybody else, you're going to get a little bit more. Other people may profit, but you're going to be one of the earlier ones to get in. So let's turn this back over there. There we go. All right. Now, you showed up today probably for a few different reasons. All right. Number one, you wanted to learn how to effectively use popular technical indicators in your trading. You wanted to see how you could easily search for stocks meeting those technical patterns. And number three, you want to see how VectorVest can alert you of those possible trades. And we just saw one of the ways using the Watchdog, but I showed you one other earlier when we set up that portfolio. In addition, I hope you also saw how you can use our market timing signals to tell you when to place these trades, which will help you enhance your performance. And I hope you also saw the time VectorVest will save you and how important speed is to your performance. So the obvious question, or the obvious thing you're probably asking right now, is how can I get these tools up and running myself? Well, I want to point something out, and it's important that you understand this. Something that Albert Einstein said. He said, everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. I want you to understand that it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. I mean, if you're watching this or probably any of the presentations today thinking you're going to become a millionaire in the next couple of days, you probably should just log out now. This is serious. And if you're not going to commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. This is for serious people who take their trading seriously, who are willing to put time in to learn the system. But that's why VectorVest was created and why we've put together this special offer for you. We put it together for serious traders who want a simple way to find their trades, and we've broken it down into 4 components: the market timing, charting, pro trader searches, and the alerts and automation. Let me tell you what you would get. First component, it's all about knowing when to place your trades. So you're going to get the market timing gauge and the color guard, those are the names that we give them, every single day, and you're going to get very clear entry points into the market. All the guesswork will be removed, and you'll know when it's safe to buy stocks. You'll also know when to exit the market. Once again, you'll have that market timing gauge and color guard, always giving you very clear signals when you should not be buying stocks and when you should exit the market. Now, I've seen some places out there charge like $400 to $500 for a market timing service, and it doesn't have near the historic track record that you'll find in VectorVest. The second component is the charting component, and you'll get the fundamental and technical charts. You'll be able to chart over 30 fundamental and 11 technical indicators, and that includes those support and resistance lines automatically drawn for you. These are actually some of the best looking charts that I've seen in any product on the market, and if you don't like the black background, you could switch it to white. You're not stuck on the black. Now the third component is the pro trader searches, which are included in Unisearch. This is so that you can easily find stocks to trade. And we feel that Unisearch is the most powerful search engine ever created, but it's also extremely easy to use. You saw how I just clicked on a search and ran it. All right, so it includes 12 types of crossover searches, channel breakouts, and support and resistance searches. You're also going to receive our alerts and automation system, also starting with the Watchdog. This is our advanced alerting system that monitors the entire market for you and identifies stocks meeting specific MACD or support and resistance criteria so you don't miss a trade. In addition, you'll get that portfolio automation with the Genius. We used this feature today when we set up our MACD portfolio. Think of it as hands-off portfolio management. It identifies stocks that meet your stop criteria, identifies replacement stocks, and alerts you so you never miss a trade. This is an incredible tool to implement a mechanical trading system. Those of you who have emotions really taking over. In addition, we're also going to include our Auto Tester plugin. This tool makes back testing quick and easy. It greatly enhances your portfolio automation, which I just talked about, because it includes the ability to react to those market timing signals. And with this tool, you'll be able to test any trading plan over any period using our market timing signals in the back tester. And I'm telling you, I would not have been able to fine-tune that search that I use in that contest portfolio without this module. And the biggest benefit of this plugin is that it's going to save you so much time fine-tuning your trading plan. Now let's face it, the faster you can develop your trading plan, the faster you can be out there making money with it. It's all about having the tools that you need to make the best trades at the best time and to drastically reduce the amount of time that you spend analyzing your trades. So you're going to get the market timing gauge and the color guard, fundamental and technical charting, those automatic support and resistance levels, try to say that 10 times fast, that are drawn for you on the chart, the Pro Trader, the Watchdog, the automated portfolio manager with the alerts, and with this offer, we're including our real-time streaming data. Now, if you want to buy this on its own, you just go to our website, and it's $137 a month. It's $129 plus $8 for the exchange fee. But we feel it's worth a lot more than that, but we sell it all the time for $137 a month. We're also going to give you today the one-on-one consultation session. right, the one-on-one consultation session, where one of our consultants will sit down with you over the phone, will guide you, will help you analyze your existing portfolio, introduce you to some of our trading systems that we've got built in. That is valued at $95. Second bonus is this. We don't want to just give you content. We want to help you apply that content. So we'd love to work with you in our group coaching program, and this is only for people who subscribe to Real Time. That's what our product, VectorVest Real Time. So you're going to be included in 10 weeks of that group coaching, and you'll stay in it as long as you're a real-time client. So here's how it works. Every other week, every other Wednesday, we just had one yesterday, you'll be automatically registered for a webcast, kind of like that. Well, not exactly like this, not a 24-hour thing going on, but we set aside a 1-hour block on Wednesday. Every other Wednesday, you'll be automatically registered for it, and I'll give you tips and techniques on how to use VectorVest Real Time. We'll discuss what's going on in the market, what our market timing indicators are advising. I'll spend time updating and discussing our trading systems. If you need any help with any part of the system, I'll help you out. 10 weeks in that coaching program is valued at $475. It's all about having the tools that you need to have a trading plan that you trust, so you make the best trades at the best time and to drastically reduce the amount of time that you spend analyzing your trades. So again, 10 weeks of VectorVest Real Time, valued at $342.50. The consultation, the 10 weeks of the coaching, total value over $900. We're prepared to give this all to you today, and I can't believe we're doing this, $29 for 10 weeks. So you get all the stuff that I just said, 10 weeks of access to all of that for $29. This is a webcast special only. Right? You're going to want to go to vectorvest.com/betterprofits to order. And we'll place that link in the chat box there. Folks, this is also completely guaranteed. I know $29, you might say, oh, I spend that on lunch with my family. Actually, I just spent over $30 at Chick-fil-A the other night. You probably won't need this, but if for some reason you don't like it during your first 30 days, we'll give you all your money back, all $29 right back to you. This gives you that peace of mind. We're very confident you're going to love what you get. You're not locked into any contracts with us, though. In order to get it, go to vectorvest.com/betterprofits, and here I promise you a way that you can get this trading plan that I put together. If you order in the next 60 minutes, so if you go to vectorvest.com/betterprofits in the next 60 minutes, I will send you the complete trading plan that I've used in that portfolio for the past couple of years. It'll have the click-by-click directions to create the search in VectorVest, along with the portfolio settings and the stop criteria, so you can set it all up in VectorVest. So the directions will walk you through setting it up to automatically run in a VectorVest portfolio of your own. And since 2013, 102 winning trades and only 21 losing trades. Now here's a note that I got from Barry. He said, hey, Brian, I took you up on your offer of going to real time with VectorVest in the last couple of weeks, and I've used a variation of your stochastics and EMA crossover technique with great success already. Thank you and VectorVest very much. So you're going to want to go to vectorvest.com/betterprofits now. Let me summarize here. VectorVest was started in 1988 with the hope of delivering great investing and trading opportunities to all of us on Main Street. Today, you're invited to join VectorVest. You're able to simply run one of the pre-built searches to easily find stocks meeting technical patterns. You can also receive alerts of trade possibilities using portfolio automation and that Watchdog tool. And this is key, folks. You're getting a service and tools that will save you enormous amounts of time. I want you to stop spending hours of your life analyzing chart after chart. These tools will save you enormous amounts of time. Now, there's a saying that wealthy people spend their money to save time. Poor people spend all their time trying to save a little bit of money. This is one of the big benefits of this. It puts all of the tools that you need in one place to save you a lot of time. Plus, we guarantee it. All right, you've got 24 hours to decide if it's for you. It's designed to make you a faster, smarter, and better trader. In order to get it, you want to go to vectorvest.com/betterprofits. We'd love to see you with us. We look forward to working with you. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for being here today. I'm going to look through now. I kind of looked away from the screen for a minute. Look through and answer questions that have come in. Question from Rita. Let me just, something's blocking the questions on my side. Give me just a second. There you go. Rita says, what's the cost after the trial? Great question. After the 10 weeks, you have a choice. I mean, if you love real time, if you want to stick with real time, it's $129 a month. You can get a discount if you pay for the full year. It's $1,295 for the year. But we also have an intraday service, which is $89 a month, or an end-of-day service, which is $59 a month. And you get a lot of the great tools in there. But the benefit of going with real time is it comes with all those bonuses that I talked about today. The auto timer, the pro trader, which is the key part of what I was showing you today. If you didn't have real time, you'd have to purchase pro trader separately. It's like $500. All right. Hey, thanks, William. Good to have you here. Nice to see a nice familiar name. Thanks, Dory. Jiz says, is this for stocks only? Let me show you in VectorVest. We've got stocks, ETFs. Where am I going here? Stocks, ETFs, indices. So it's not just for stocks, but we don't have like things like futures and things like that. Echograph, is that your real name? Says, what about Canadian stocks? I'm just kidding. What about Canadian stocks? Well, we have a VectorVest Canada product. If you want to subscribe to Canada, you can do that. Now, just know that the exchange fees in Canada are a little bit more. Let me say it this way: as a benefit as a bonus for living in Canada, for the same price, you can get both the U.S. product and the Canadian product. All right. What a lot of Canadians do, since whoever in Canada decided to charge so much for exchange fees, a lot of Canadians decide to get VectorVest Canada on a 15-minute delay and get the U.S. market in real time. So I'm also, can we put our, I don't have, let me just pull up our, let me see if I can show this here. Let's see. You go here. If you did want to call us to place your order, you can do that too. So right at the top, you can just put your number in there. So if you wanted to, if you live in Canada and you wanted to make sure that you set it up correctly, you place your order on the site here. Just fill in all this information, and then just give us a call and say, hey, I just placed my order on. I want to make sure it gets processed for VectorVest US and Canada, and have US on the real time in Canada on 15-minute delay. Oh yeah, hey Joe, 24 hours to decide. 24 hours to decide on this offer. You know, getting it the $29 for 10 weeks. Once you buy the $29 for the 10 weeks, you have it for 10 weeks, and then you have 30 days to say, well, do I want to keep it or not? Do I want to give back the $29? Basically, it's $29 for 10 weeks, and if you want your $29 back, just let us know in the first month. What time frame is the intraday product? That is, what time is it? It is a 15-minute delay, so it'll look just like this. Everything will look exactly the same. For example, if I go to our big list of stocks, and here's some more free information for all of you. Here's our top list of stocks right now. Here's our top list, and if you're on real time, it'll give you real-time data. If you're on intraday, it'll still tick away like this. Tick, tick, tick. All the numbers will change, but it'll be 15 minutes in the past. And then if you have an end-of-day service with us, for example, if after the 10 weeks, if you choose to go with our end-of-day service, all this information will show yesterday's closing price. Let's see. Yes, you can, Luke. You can email us. We'll probably write back to you and ask if there's anything we could do to help. But yeah, you can email us. David, this trial is for real time. So we wanted to give, during this 10 weeks, we wanted to give you the best of the best. And actually, I think we're just about losing money on this, or break even, because for every real-time person that we have, we get audited. So it costs us $8 a month for everybody who's using real-time data. So for 10 weeks, that's basically 3 months that we have to pay $8. So 8, 24. We've got to send that to, what is it, the SEC. We've got to send that off to whoever collects it, and we're only getting $29. So we're almost losing money on this. Great, Dave. Great to have you here. Rav, can we use your tools to trade options? Oh, I'm at 0. Now, all these questions, any other questions that you've got, just be respectful of other people's time. Just give us a call, 888-658-7638, and we'd help you out. Even though I didn't get I started a little bit late because of the, what was it called, the bio break. Give us a call. We are here to help you. And it was a pleasure being here with you today. Again, go to VectorVest.com/betterprofits. I want to thank you all for being here. We look forward to working with you. Again, just go to VectorVest.com/betterprofits. I see the link in the chat box. We are here to help. If you have questions about the offer, please call us, 888-658-7638. It was a pleasure being here. Bye, everybody.